selection of promising projects for the regional expo. So first, it's important then for me to say, as a committee, as a group of volunteers, and with, of course, the provincial coordinator, we want to acknowledge your hard work, your curiosity, your dedication, all that you've put into your work thus far. From the time you started the idea, all that you could demonstrate. Your projects were selected with that potential. And I also just want to acknowledge the educators and mentors that have given continued guidance and support. Some of you are now at this point just really having your learners in your classes if you are educators, and we really don't take that for easy that you've done all that you have done to support the learners developing their projects. Today's session is really about strengthening all of that work, refining it, upgrading it, taking good advice from what is going to be presented here. And with those words, I actually also want to just thank Ms. Olga Pill, that's going to lead the session, in all the support that we are continuing to try and give. One of the things that I really want to encourage also as we do this upgrade, and even with your mentors, it's very important for a learner who does this work to be open to what is going to be corrected, feedback and all that you're getting from your mentors and so on. And so take heed of that. The journey is, we're still strengthening this work. And it's important at this platform and also when you engage with your mentors to ask questions boldly and to continue just that curiosity that you have. Hopefully all of this work, all this collective work would strengthen your project, and we're hoping to see it in the regionals. Thank you very much. Over to you, Olga. And thanks to you, Olga.
Thank you, Thomas. Just trying to advance. My PowerPoint is now stuck. Lyndon, any help?
Okay. Maybe stop sharing this part if it's not in the PowerPoint.
Yeah, okay, let me just see. For some reason, yesterday went absolutely perfectly, and today we are now sitting at, let me try again, being stuck. I'm not sure. Sorry, everybody, I'm trying again. These things can happen, unfortunately. Is everybody's mic off while we're waiting? Right. SN, can you turn your mic off, please? Thank you. So at the moment, everybody, that's me. I'd like to welcome you all to this upgrade, this regional upgrade online session. Now, this isn't the only upgrade that you're going to get help with. Of course, the selectors gave you help. Your teachers can help you, and anybody you know, your parents can also help you. So congratulations for getting past the first round, because now you, of course, are preparing for the second round, which is called the Regional Expo, or we call it just Expo, for getting your Expo project ready for August. So today is about you, the learner, and your project with teachers here, which is wonderful. We've got to make sure you finish it on time, because whatever you have, you bring with you, and you don't want to come with something that's not ready. Obviously, every aspect we're covering today, and ultimately you want to do your best. You want to bring something that's going to do very well at Cape Town Expo. So while the District Expo was very much a learning experience, we're now looking at a more competitive experience, and that is why we're having this upgrade for you and for everybody in the Western Cape. Okay, so what is that Expo project that you've been doing? You've been having this Expo project all year, and now the exams are over. I hope they went well. And now we're preparing this project for August. Now, if you think you need more time, please work in the holidays on your project. So it's original work. That means you did it, you or you and a partner. There's only 1 or 2 people in a project at Expo. And this is what an Expo project consists of. And you are welcome to take photos or screenshots while I'm talking. But obviously I can't stop for you to do that, but I'll try and make time. So this is what you're going to have by August. A report, a journal, which of course you started a long time ago, a poster, which you didn't necessarily have for the district expo, but now you want it for the regional. Everybody must have one. And then in a separate expo folder, please do this, everybody. No hundreds of sheets of paper everywhere. The abstract, below that, the completed research plan, below that, the learner ethics checklist, and if relevant to your project, the ethics letter, the permission letter or supervision letter. And all of these I'm going to go through more. Only if relevant to your project. So don't run off now and make a model. Only if it was relevant to your project, especially an engineering project, a small shoebox size model of the prototype that you've been working on. Only computer science projects need a laptop. No other project should be bringing a laptop to Expo. And I'll explain why. So everything here will be explained. Okay, so let's have a look at an actual Expo project. So there is the poster. Okay, in front of you on a table with a cloth, there's the poster. That makes like a little cabin or booth. And then on the tabletop are a whole lot of documents. And this particular project, I've chosen it specifically to show you, had a small model. They put it in front of a blank space on their poster. Now let's have a look at the poster in more detail. There's an Eskom logo. On the right of it, there's a number. So those two, you can't put anything there. Then you've got about 16 landscape A4 pages. And of course, in the middle, there's the title and the learner names. Then on the table, there's actually the journal, the report, and the expo folder. So it's quite important that you look now and you see what an expo project with a model has in it, because you're going to make one of these for August. Let's have a look at the details. So you're going to do a title, a maximum of 10 words, but we mean 10 in total, okay? And that title is on the entry form that you're going to send in. Switch off, please. Switch off, please. Thank you. The title is on the entry form that you are going to send in. That title is going to be on the poster, on the report, on the journal. Same title. Now you can see that these people did a project on seawater. So in actual fact, they had some seawater on their folder. It's like a theme, the theme idea. Right. Now, let's take a step back to January. There were 4 different types of expo projects. You chose one, and the reason I'm doing this is reminding you to keep to that one. Okay? Don't mix things up. So either you did a scientific investigation or an engineering computer or social sciences or mathematics stroke theoretical. Now, when you chose that type, you did one kind of research plan, okay, on that template, which Expo provided for you on that kind of project. You also did your report or will do your report if you haven't done it yet on the template of the same type of project. And then we do an assessment on that type of project. So can you see how this all links together? Now, there are 4 types of projects. You can see them there. And the 4 types can fit into any Expo category. Now, you are going to select your project type by the middle of July. It doesn't matter if you change it from the district. One of the selectors at the district expo actually might have said you should do something and not something. So look at your learner feedback form, see if anything is there to help you change your type of project. If it isn't, stick to the same one. Okay, you can't choose to change it later. So by the middle of July, by something like the 20th of July, you must have selected the project type. Now, there's also the Expo category. And again, you choose the one category and you stick to that category. You as a learner must do this, not the teacher, the learner. Because when you enter for Cape Town Expo, there's going to be a spreadsheet, a new one. And on that spreadsheet, it's going to say category, and you must choose the one that you are entering your project in. It's really important now you stick to it. You can't make changes later. You can't come to us at Expo and say, I forgot I'm in the wrong category. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay, so don't change your mind. Don't change your category. Now let's look at the 13 categories. They are there in orange. And underneath them, there are some little subcategories. So you are allowed to change your category between the District Expo and Cape Town Expo. But then once the entry form comes in, that's it. Please don't ask for changes. It's too late because everything works around the category you chose. Okay. This information was sent to teachers probably 4 times this year. It's in the guidebook, this one that I showed you, that's the guidebook. There's also the white guidebook, also had it in, and it's available on the Expo Science website. So if you're not 100% sure, go and have a look. And obviously, your project must fit into that category. So let's say I'm talking about that desalination project. They chose environmental sciences. Could I ask that teacher gets that sound off, please? Please, it's just so irritating. Thank you. Now, let's say we've got an environmental science project. Okay, now you look and you see that project was about changing seawater into fresh water. And they looked and they said it's an environmental management project, and they put it into the right category. Okay, there's also some special information that teachers and learners need to know. When the judges are looking at your project, they're looking for what's called authenticity, to show that you or you and your partner did the project. And where do the judges find that? They find that in your journal. Because and I'll talk about the journal. The journal shows what you did. Each day you did something. I also want to point out the second and third bullet. You may not copy anything from anywhere on the internet and put it in your project. It's not allowed. Okay? You can paraphrase, you can summarize, but you may not copy. And this is very much important for your research plan and your report. The referencing. Teachers, I posted yesterday a referencing guide on the teacher WhatsApp group. And so the referencing must be correctly done. Now, especially the 4th bullet, the use of AI. If a learner is using AI, and remember, you can't use AI to write your report. That will be disqualified, okay? But you can use AI for part of your project. Then you must reference it, please. Teachers, I sent the AI guide to you also on the WhatsApp group. So just download that for your learners, please, or pass it on. Now, except for the journal, everything must be typed. There were some handwritten projects, especially the first District Expo. Please, only the journal can be handwritten. Everything else must be typed. Okay, so now we're going one step up in the competition. We now need to type everything. Okay, and remember, stick to your category and stick to your project type. Really important that whatever you're doing, you're thinking, let's say scientific investigation, hypothesis, variables, everything related to my type of project. Let's have a look at today. So I'm going to talk, then I want you to have all your documents out. Okay, so in front of you on the table or on your laptop, if you're lucky enough to be using a laptop, I would like your District Expo documents. So you should have had an Expo folder. Now, this is the kind of thing you can take a note of to say, get a small folder to be my Expo folder. Put it in your journal. Okay. Put it in. AM, can you switch your sound off, please? Right. In the Expo folder, you should have already the research plan, the learner ethics checklist, the ethics letter, and if relevant, and the permission and supervision letters if relevant. Now, you might have already done an abstract. You're also going to put it there. But at the moment, this is what we have from the District Expo. Right, then separately, please have your report. Separately, please have your journal. Okay, and a pen ready to take notes. And if relevant, your model. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're now going to go through each one of those in much more detail. And that is when you can take photos and notes for yourself. Now, if you take photos, print them and put them in your journal. Okay, don't just keep them on your phone. So let's have a look. This is to, this is to assist you. Yes.
Hi, Olga.
Yes.
Can I just mention to the person directly? There's someone with the number or name, Asenati Mpisane. I'm not sure what school are you from and so on. Can you just keep the mic muted, please? Thank you. There's two of these. That will help us to understand and get exactly what we need this upgrade for. Please, thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. It's very off-putting to me and to the other people listening. If somebody's phone is on and they're having a conversation, I really appreciate that. So what I was saying is today's upgrade is about the documents you're going to have and what to do with them. Okay, is everybody ready? Let's go. Right, so the very first thing I'm going to look at is the journal. Now, do you remember that the journal can be handwritten in an exercise book? Or typed and printed just before Expo. So it comes in hard copy, okay, in paper, in other words. And it remember you doing an entry when you did something on your project and you dated that entry. The date should always be above, okay? It does not mean that each entry has to have a new page. What it means is every time you did something, you write it up, whether it's 2 sentences or 2 pages, and you put a date there. And what is the journal for? You write down what you did, when you did it, even who you spoke to, and what help you got. So in other words, this is, do you remember I said the word authenticity? This is about you doing your project, you or you and your partner doing your project, and you are showing people this is what we did. It doesn't have to be typed. It can be a little bit messy. You can put your sketches in there. You can print emails and put it in. But it means it is your whole project from day one till the day before Expo. Okay, include today's date. Today you're going to add quite a lot of information, and keep on adding information to your journal till a couple of days before Expo in August. Expo is the 18th. So you want something like the 15th or 14th, you want to finish your journal. Okay. Judges read it. In fact, I've known judges who pick up the journal first and start looking at it. They actually think this is my way into looking at your project. And of course, it's part of the written work. It's part of Expo. Now, the research plan. Everybody did theirs at the beginning of this year. Okay, so you wrote it in the future tense because it was what you were going to do. 2 to 4 pages long, no longer. It's a plan. A plan, in the very essence of the word, is something short, and it says, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, but look at bullet 3. It's specific to the type of project. Do you remember? Scientific, engineering or computer, maths, theoretical, or social science. So make sure you have the correct template. You have to have at least 3 correctly referenced sources of information. And please, not google.com. That's a web page and website, sorry. We want a web page. We actually want a web page. You must reference the web pages or the books you read. It is typed. It is signed by your teacher or mentor. Okay? And dated. And it's printed in the end, back to back, and it's in black and white. So you're going to have that in that Expo folder. Right, linked to the research plan. Directly linked is the learner ethics checklist. Now, at the district expo, the team, the project approval team, the ethics checking team went through and they checked that you had one. They gave you an empty one if you didn't. Please make sure it is in your expo folder. You put your name and all the details at the top of the first page. If there's nothing relevant to your project, you leave the rest of it empty. However, if even one aspect was relevant to your project and you put an X on the right-hand column, and remember it's a 2-page document, then you should have already followed up with the ethics team. Now, the ethics team did all of this before the district expo. At the district expo, they actually told you what to do if you had problems. So let's have a look. What we've got here is if you already had an ethics letter back from the ethics team, then please print that and put it in your file. You should have then made all the changes they recommended. Okay, don't just print the letter without making the changes. If you were told to have a supervision letter by a scientist or permission letters from various principals, then copies of those must be in the folder. Now, teachers, I put the templates on the WhatsApp group yesterday for the permission and supervision letters. So if your learners were told at the district expo to sort it out, please can you follow up with them? In fact, you please just look at their projects and see if their learner ethics checklists even have one X on, because then something must have happened after that. Okay, now the big one. The most important part of your project is the report. Do you know that it's worth 3/4 of the marks at Expo, the report itself? So you must make sure it's a very well set out, well formatted document. It's the scientific summary of your project. Okay? It's typed using the Expo template. All the Expo templates are Word documents. Now, with all templates, there are instructions you must delete later. And then what you do is you type into that document, and please, you keep saving that document to a hard drive, to your Google Drive, if you're lucky, to your own laptop. But carry on saving, please, because the last thing you want is to lose your work. Okay, it can be any length, but it's probably by now going to be more than 10 pages. Remember what you took to the district expo with for most schools was incomplete. So what we really want is we want the complete project finished and summarized and recorded in your report. Okay, there is a cover page. Don't delete that, fill that in. You must then create a contents page. The next page will be a contents page, and of course, all the pages will be numbered. Now, in Windows, there is help for creating a contents page. You might need to ask your IT teacher to help you with that. Please format your pages so that you don't have a sentence running from half on one page till the next page. Okay. Also, all the fonts must be the same font and the same size font. Please, we don't want to see a little bit of Times New Roman, then a bit of Calibri, then a bit of Asiatica, and then we know that you've copied. Okay, so one of the last things you do with your report is to actually format it correctly. Now, this time, there are many more than 3 references, because when you do the discussion, you're comparing your results to other known results. And so therefore, you'll compare to actual sources of information. Grade 10s and 11s, you should be doing in-text referencing as well. Okay, try it. Everybody try the in-text as well as the end-text referencing. This document can be printed back to back and in black and white. It does not need to be in color. I'm thinking of saving a few trees and saving costs. Now, the poster. So most people didn't bring a poster to the district expo, okay? They didn't have time. There was not enough to summarize. And we found some of the posters were just beautiful pictures, but not the actual scientific poster. So let's have a look at it. It's a visual summary of your project. It's done just before expo. It's like a week before expo, you do your poster. Okay, there is a template and I'll show you where that is. So you can simply take a PowerPoint, put the information in and print the PowerPoint. That means all the pages are the same size and they all have to be A4 anyway. Okay, this one must be printed in color. All right, visual, appealing. People must look at this and say, oh, this looks very interesting. Okay, it includes graphs, photos you took. Nobody else's work must be on your poster, please. No, nothing. Don't do tables of results, just do graphs. Okay, important graphs. Photos you took. You're going to put under the photo taken by and your name or names. Okay, and any interesting themes. I'll show you some posters, and it must be, as I said, in color. Those are the poster board dimensions. So the height is 1 meter. The main board is 1 meter by 1 meter, and their 2 side flaps are 50 centimeters each. There is a unique project number. That's yours. I'll explain. And there's an Expo logo. You mustn't touch that. So let's have a look at that poster we saw earlier, but now we're just looking at the poster. So the purification of seawater using an engineered design, that is the title of the project. Okay, that's the title of the project. The guys' names are there. And can you see all the other poster pages are the same, A4 landscape. So you either choose landscape or you choose portrait. Now, I would choose landscape simply because the PowerPoint prints in landscape. You can see the Central Expo logo and the number on the right. But everywhere else you can put your pages, your poster pages on. This project had that model. So there was no poster page behind the model. Okay. So it's about 14 to 16 landscape pages that you're going to do. Now, they had a water design, water project. So they had designs of blue borders around their A4 pages to make them look nice. I can tell you now they laminated theirs as well. It's easier if it's laminated. Okay, let's have a look. Here's the actual design, and you can certainly take a photograph of this. It shows the board dimensions. It also shows where the Expo logo is and the unique project number are, and obviously you're not going to put anything there, where you put your title and where all the other pages go. And of course, there could be a couple of photographs there, photographs that you take, only you take. Please, no small pages of photographs. They must, everything except for the title must be on A4 pages. Let's have a look. Please only bring press stick, no glue. If you glue a poster, that board is useless. We'll have to ask you to pay about 500 Rand for that board. Okay. Please number your pages at the back. You know how easy it is to put your poster up if you already know it's numbered in from 1 to 14 or 1 to 16. Okay. The poster is going to flow. I'm just going to go back here. There it starts at the top left, problem, statement, and aim. This was a scientific method poster because it's got a hypothesis, but you see there's a goal. And then the results and discussions were in the middle and acknowledgements on the bottom right. So there is a flow. It's not random, the places that you put your pages. It's from the top left to the bottom right. Okay, remember the photos are labeled with your name. There's a caption. Okay, here's the caption of the model that we built in the end, because their model, these guys' model was about 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter in the end. So that was the actual device. And then they put the baby model on the table. Please don't use anybody else's work on your poster. You will be accused of copying, and copying is bad. Okay, and don't cover the Expo logo ever, please. That is about the competition you are entering, the Eskom Expo for Young Scientists. Now let's have a look at the unique project number. So that is why I said you have to know your category, and your entries are due in the middle of July and so on. So we put all the entries together into a database, and we sort them according to the category they're in. Okay. And these guys' projects was in the environmental science category. So for each category, there's like a 3-letter code. EVS was environmental science. And they were the first project. So you can see their title there. There's their project number. There's the guy's name. That number is going to be sent to the schools before Expo. But you still come and register. You get your lanyard. And then you go to your project place at that same number and you put your project up. And that is the important reason for the number. It also means the judges can find your project. Okay. Now at the bottom there, you can see Judge 1, Judge 2, Project Approval, Judge 3, or Special Awards. They will put stickers after they've spoken to you. So you can expect 2 separate judges. You can expect a project approval team member, and possibly there's a 3rd judge or a special award judge. But we will talk more about that part when you've entered. Okay, now there's a new document. I don't think anybody had an abstract for the District Expo. So this is a different kind of summary of your project. So not only have you done the visual summary, which was your poster, you've also got to do a single A4 portrait page summary in text only words. So there is a template. It's the same template for all types of projects. Okay. You write it also about a week before Expo. It's only text, only words, no photos, no sketches, nothing. It's the most important summary of your project. It's maximum of 250 words, and you must do a word count, please. It's easy when you're using Windows to find a word count, okay? It's simply printed on one side of an A4 sheet of paper. There are some headings, and you put the most important stuff in there. And judges will often start by reading your abstract because it's your summary of your project, but you're also saying, this is the most important part of the project. I want you to know. Okay. As with all templates, you delete instructions afterwards. It can be printed in black and white on one page. It, remember, goes into that Expo folder on the very top. Okay. And just a reminder that all written work gets marks at Expo. So don't leave it out. Right, now let's just have a look at a poster from a few years ago. Nadia did this poster, and funnily enough, Nadia is now a judge. So sometimes people go, they enter Expo, they leave school, they get their degree or degrees, and then one day they phone us and say, we want to be involved in again. And you might even meet Nadia this year. So there's a typical poster. Okay, a couple of years ago, these guys, remember, 1 or 2, wearing their lanyards. That's what I'm showing you in this slide. They're wearing their lanyards. They've put their poster up. They've used the space nicely for their project. Okay, and on the table, you can't see all of it, are their documents. And the big thing, of course, is sometimes the judges have 2 of you to talk to. Now, everybody, if you are working in a pair, you must all, both of you, be able to say everything about your project. Don't think that you only need to know 50% of your project. You both need to know everything. Because the judge might go to you, say, tell me about your results. And the judge might then turn to the other partner and say, okay, what's your conclusion now? If you haven't done that work together, it looks like one of you did all the work. So please be very, very, very careful when preparing for the expo if there are 2 of you. Okay, here's just one showing you the title right under the ESCOM Expo logo. And those little bubbles that they put on, they put something, spherification of liquids. So spheres, circular things. So they put a couple of bubbles on just to make the poster attractive. It isn't necessary. You can do it, however. Okay. Here's another one beautifully. There's the Expo logo. Next to it is the project number. There was no interruption with that, and all her poster pages are on the poster, and look how beautifully her 3 sets of documents are on the table, all with the same theme. So this is how we get a good looking project. Now, if you're really proud of your project, of course, you want to have a good looking project as well. You can have a small tabletop model. Okay. Preferably not in front of any poster pages, so that the judges can see everything in one go. Right, now, computer science projects only. Computer science projects, you will get access to electricity so that you can run your laptop to show your coding and your programming and so on. Nobody else at Expo will get access to electricity. So you must bring, everything must be charged, please. Charged tablet or charged cell phone. Please don't ask for electricity unless you computer science project, because that's the only group that gets it. Matthew's got his project there. He's got his laptop. He's got all his documents. And now, of course, what he can do is he's now ready for his interview. Okay, so what do you bring to Expo? So these are the things I've already covered, of course, but these are the things that you actually need to bring with you to Expo. in separate little documents, please. So your journal, which you finished a few days before Expo, and the last thing you will write is something like prepared for the interview, and I'll talk about that just now. Okay, your report in a separate folder or file, please not a flip file, because sometimes judges want to ask you about a page and then you've got to pull it out and put it back and so on. Okay, remember those two, especially the report, can just be in black and white. The poster in color, okay, in color. The poster is a summary. It's not the project again. Okay, please remember it's not the whole project simply printed and put on the board. It's a summary of the project. So if I said to you that the poster is 14 pages long and it's got a couple of graphs and photos in, that would actually mean that because the font is big, okay, on a poster, it means that it isn't the whole project. Be absolutely sure, please, of what goes on the poster. For example, references don't go on the poster, okay? Be sure of what is on the poster and what is in the report. Okay, then the Expo official documents folder, you can see I'm putting in yellow the things that are separate. Abstract, research plan, plagiarism form, learner ethics checklist, and then those last two, the ethics outcomes letter or the permission and supervision letters, only if relevant. Can I just look at those permission and supervision letters quickly with you? So if you are doing some testing in a laboratory, okay, there would be a scientist there. They would write the letter. Let's say you're working with dangerous chemicals at home, then one of your parents would be the supervisors. Or at school, your teacher, preferably with a BSc, will be the supervisor. Okay, get that letter signed, please. It shows that you were aware of that you're working with some dangerous chemicals or weapons or devices, and therefore somebody made sure nobody got hurt. That's the supervision letter reason. Then the permission letter, that is generally needed for doing things like surveys at school. Okay, so anybody who's under 18 is not allowed to give permission for things to be done. So if you were outside school, you'd get the parents. Let's say you're walking around and asking people something, the parents would need to sign permission. At school, the principal does the permission letter in place of the parents. So you would have gone to the principal with your survey questionnaire and said, "Dear ma'am or sir, could you please give me permission to do the survey at school? Here's my questionnaire." And the principal would say, generally, yes. Okay, you've got permission. That letter must be there. Now, let's say you're going to a second school. Then you have to go through the principal with the permission letter process again. And again, that letter must be there. So basically, social science projects, virtually all of them need permission letters. Biomedical projects, a lot of them need permission letters or supervision letters. So please go back to your project type, to the actual content of your project, and think, do I need a letter? Now, teachers, this is especially about the District Expo. It's possible at the District Expo that the ethics checkers, the project approval people, said you need a permission letter or you need a supervision letter. Please, learners, go to your teacher and discuss it with them. The teachers have the templates. It came on the WhatsApp group. Okay? You need to take it. You can't just print it. You need to fill it in, print it, take it to the principal or whoever, get it signed, and make sure it's all okay. Teachers, can you please help the little ones, especially with this? Now, those are in the Expo folder. At Expo, at the regional Expo, the judges might look for that. the project approval people will look for that. So make sure it's there. Now, if you have a shoebox size model or prototype, that's fine. I saw some beautiful models at the District Expo, and especially District Expo 1. Okay, but remember, they have to be very, very small, tabletop, shoebox size. Think of a shoebox, and that's the size of your model, because it can't take up any more space, can't stick out, can't be in front of a poster. Okay, and remember, computer science projects, laptop and charger and a security cable, please, so that your computer is safe on the space where you are. I don't know if anybody's got any questions at this point. If you could put them in the chat, Lyndon or Undumiso or Thomas might be able to assist you. And we certainly could stay behind afterwards for the chat. Teachers, you could kind of give us feedback tomorrow with any problems from today, but we will get the recording out quite soon, and then you can show it to the learners who couldn't come. Right, it gives me great pleasure to ask Thomas, the Regional Science Fair Director of Cape Town Expo, to come back and to go through this slide with you. Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks, Olga. Thanks. We'll just quickly talk to what's coming up and just some important dates for all of our everybody, in fact, even the learners and the teachers that are supporting the learners with this. And also, if, for example, you're just working with a mentor, it's important then to adhere to all of this. First of all, it's a great session and incredible information that has now transpired, and I hope it's been useful for everyone. And as Olga has just said, now those who may have had some issues with connection, there is going to be a recording, but we will also appreciate feedback, as it was said as well. So importantly, remember, this journey is to strengthen your project, all of the work that you've done, and make sure that as term 3 starts, because many of you would then, this is the last week of school and then you're going to go to a break. Some people will work over the holidays and it's great. But as term 2 starts, it's important to make sure that you use all of that time to make sure the project is cool. Now, it's important to get the correct project categories. These things were shared in the presentation just now, and to adhere to anything that is important as part of the rules of the competition. That project title, it's good that it is catchy. It's also good that it speaks to your project, but let it be the correct size and so on, so that it doesn't cover anything and it's still just readable. So it's going to be important to make sure that your entries are recorded properly. So leading up to the entries, from when you come back on the 22nd into the third term, to when the actual entries are due, those meetings between you and your teachers and mentors and so on are going to be important to make sure that you are registered, all of those entries are recorded, sent, and everybody's happy about it. And I think, as it was outlined in the presentation just now, the poster and eventually the abstract are more the last things that you do, because you're going to make little changes, if any, to them. In fact, yes, those changes that you are going to make, it must be at the end of the actual project. Yeah, once you've completed your report and everything, then you organize your poster very nicely. And it's advisable that you use a PowerPoint template I mean, if you've done this before, and even if you haven't, it's nice to have your A4 size pages as your poster, as you've seen in the images that were shared earlier on. Then your abstract, obviously, there is a template there. Use that information. And what's really great about the resources that we have, it explains clearly how to go about doing an abstract. There's great advice on every aspect of the project. I would use that, both of the national website, which is Expo Science, and also Cape Town Expo. And I mean, on Facebook as well, there's a whole lot of links to resources and so on. It's very important to use those and make sure that you've looked at those templates. You've looked at the project guidebook that was also alluded to earlier on. Just to make sure that you're missing nothing. It's really up to you to make sure that you've given yourself a chance, not limited yourself. It's important. And then, of course, you will have your last week around the 11th. Remember, part of the competition is to make sure that the judges would have interacted with all of your project, but they also want to hear from you. What?
Thomas, you're breaking up. Thomas?
Some questions for you.
Could you start again on the week of
They
11th of August?
For you.
Thank you.
On?
You were breaking up.
Hi?
Hi.
Oh, no. What's going to happen is that practicing interviews is going to be very essential. I hope I'm back on.
Yes, you are.
Am
Thank
I back
you.
on?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. I just wanted to emphasize the practicing of the interview, the interaction with the judges, engaging with them. Remember, those guys would be officials that would just like to hear about the work you've done. It's important when you've done something and you find someone who's really interested in what you've done, how you've come up with the idea, what you did in your execution, and maybe various questions about certain aspects of your project, particularly your results and so on. There may be various questions about it. They would dedicate some time to up to, it can even be a little bit more than 15 minutes around that. So that time is essential. And in order for you to be really prepared for that, it's important to remember that they are not there to catch you out or anything. That's not intimidating. It's just an opportunity to talk about your project. So also practicing to do that, but not getting in a phase where you
Thomas, you're breaking up. Hello, Thomas. Hello, Thomas. Everybody, I'm going to continue. I'm not sure what's happened to his Wi-Fi. So Thomas was talking about practice being interviewed. Get your friends, get teachers, get parents, get other people you know to interview you. Oh, so thank you, Thomas. Sorry, you broke up.
Yeah, thanks for taking over, Olga. Sometimes this you have no control.
Yes.
Over. Yeah, no, thanks with that. Practicing those interviews are very, very, very important. And then there's those days for Expo. Remember, don't go anywhere else. Don't go to South Peninsula. Don't go to anywhere else where the district expos were. These would be up at UCT. To your teachers about this. The teachers will get this in WhatsApp groups. They may even share it in your own WhatsApp groups. So remember the times given. Make sure that you talk to each other, you remind each other about the importance of being there on time interviews. Miss all that engagement. In the end, it is that experience that determines what happens as the outcome of the whole competition. Thank you, Olga.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Obviously, a lot more detail about the expo will be sent to your teacher for you next term. Okay, so the interview day.
Right, can I speak to this as well? Am I audible?
Olga, you are muted at the moment.
Not sure how that happened. Sorry, hi, everybody. So the interviews at Expo are on the 19th of August. The 18th is the day you put your project up at the Sports Centre. And then the 19th in the afternoon and late afternoon, you will be interviewed by the judges. Please don't prepare a speech because this is not a speech competition. So think of all the questions you might be asked. That is why you need to finish printing long before the 18th, okay? You and sit with your partner, sit with your friends. They ask you questions, and you think of other questions the judges might ask, and you have the answers ready for them. That is how you prepare for the interviews, okay? And on the interview day, the 19th, you are going to be dressed very, very smartly, please, okay? You are going to be in your full uniform. And the idea is the judges will also come and talk to you. It's a very formal process. So Thomas has told you a little bit, but remember the judges want to find out more about your project. So they've done the prejudging the night before, and now they want to know more. I'm asking them to have a list of questions to talk to you about. Okay, at the expo, there are 3 groups of adults who are likely to come to talk to you. There's the project approval team, there's the medal judges, and then there's the special awards judges. Now, every project will get a project approval person. They will get 2 medal judges. They might get special award judges. Okay, as I said, the judges want to find out more about your project. They will ask you questions. The judges will come 1 at a time. You might get more than 2, but the minimum is 2. Okay. And there is a fixed time for the interview, as Thomas said, 15 or 20 minutes. The idea is that they will learn whatever else they need to know during that interview with you. At the end, you're going to say thank you. But the most important thing is to be absolutely sure that the judge is impressed by your knowledge of your own project. You can actually see in yellow there. Remember, you are the expert on your project. You are the one who knows your project the very best. So you've got to impress the judges. Okay, and I'm frozen again. Don't know why. Let me just see. Okay, let's go. Right. So because Expo is a competition, the regional Expo is now a competition. There are some rules. You must wear your Expo lanyard. You're going to be given it on the 18th. Whether you come or your teacher comes or your partner comes, they're going to bring you a lanyard. And you won't be able to come in unless you've got the lanyard on the 19th. Okay, so the date is the 19th. That is when you come back. You will get interviewed. Obviously, the program will be sent to your teacher and your teacher will send it to you so you know when you have to be at Expo. Now, most schools organize the transport. so that you are on time. Okay, teachers, we'll talk all about that next term. But the idea is the learners are on time for Expo, because if you're late, that's going to maybe cause a problem. Now, there are many sponsors and many awards. Okay, we've got sponsors with laptops and power banks and all those kinds of things. So it's quite important that you are aware that those people will also be there. Okay, some learners, apologies, I see it says West Coast Expo there. Some learners will represent Cape Town at the International Science Fair in the October holidays. So there are a group of people who also select you for that. This is what Cape Town Expo looks like. You can see on the far side some benches where people are sitting. You can see the rows and rows and rows and rows of projects. You can see there are people walking around. The adults would be judges and project approval. And obviously everybody's waiting for their judges to come. Okay, now project approval. Monday the 18th. You've put your project up. You come up in the afternoon times to be confirmed. You put your project up, and the first thing you do is you go and get a member of the project approval team to approve your project for judging. Okay, you can't take anything extra to Expo. You can't take plants and animals and microorganisms and agar plates or chemicals. Even water's not allowed on the project table. No dangerous items. If they find them while doing this checklist, they will actually remove them. You don't want that. Okay. So basically, at the end of that process, your project will be approved for judging, and you will sign a sheet. Teachers, I'm going to send you a sample of that sheet to check with the learners. Okay. And the idea then is that that project sheet stays on the table and the judges will see it, and then they'll decide to go ahead with the judging. Okay. If you've got a laptop or a microscope or something, you bring it on the 18th, your display is approved, but you must take those expensive things home with you. Even the computer science people, please. Take it home with you, but leave a note on the table saying you've taken it home. But the whole other part of the project must be left there on the 18th, please. Now, how the judges assess the projects. Teachers, I've just received the 2025 judging sheets. I can send you a sample to show the learners. Okay, so the top of every judging sheet or project assessment form looks the same. It's what's in front of you. So we put the names in, the project title, maximum 10 words, your grade. This will be Cape Town. Okay, we will probably put your school somewhere, your category, and your project number. Do you remember that special project number, EVS001? You'll get your version of that number. Okay. Then you will see that there are some subsections here. So there's the introduction out of 12, the method out of 16. There's a big chunk of 28 marks for results, discussion, conclusion. There's 12 for originality, creativity, and value to society. There's 8 for the written presentation. Now, the judges could do that part up to number 5 the day before you get interviewed, or the morning before you get interviewed. They can't show you these marks. These are confidential marks, okay? And then the last 24 marks come at the interview. They do their own score. Remember, they see you on their own. And then they all get together and they discuss the scores and give you a final mark. They put their name, their convener's name, and the date, which will be 19th of August. Now, I want you to look at the scoring process at the bottom there. Each item is worth 4 marks. So there are 25 little subsections, which obviously add up to 100. Each one of them is worth 4. Now, none of you, I'm sure, wants to get 0. So that means you didn't do it or there was no evidence you did it, and it was very badly done. I'm not sure that anybody in this world wants to get 0 for their work. So please don't aim for 0, rather aim for 4. Okay? So if you sort of did it, you get 1. In other words, you sort of did the aim, but it was incorrect. If it was okay, average, good 3, and of course excellent is 4. Now somebody who gets mainly 4s is going to get 80% overall, which is a gold medal. So kind of that's where you're heading towards. Okay, there is obviously 2 pages of this sheet. This is the top of the first page. So the idea is the judge walks around with their clipboard, their folder, and they give a score for every little subsection, and then they add them up. Now, your aim is not to get 50. Your aim is to get 60, 70, or 80, or 90 for your project. Okay. Right. This is what they do. At the pre-judging, which is you've put your project up on the 18th, on the 19th, they're on their own in the hall. They look at the project without you. That's 76 marks. Then they write down a whole lot of questions that they want to ask you. And when they interview you, they fill in the rest of that scoring sheet, the other 24 marks. They want to hear from you about your amazing and innovative and world-shattering project. Okay, so whatever you do, your confidence in the interview is really, really important. Please prepare for the interview. Now, if you are not present for the interview, you do not get any awards. So that's why I've put it in red. Okay, you have to be present for the interview at the UCT Sports Centre. We don't do any online or anything else. Okay, the judges also complete a judge's ethics report. They look at the ethics of your project. Now, in the ideal world, there should be no ethical issues because you've already dealt with them. And then there is a group of judges called the chief judges who sign off on everything. So they say these results are true, we accept that score or that medal. And obviously nobody can question their decision. Just so you know that whatever mark you get is that's it. Right, now there are many templates. A template is the Word document with the headings and some instructions that you can type into. So please make sure that you've got or you will be getting the research plan template. Okay, the one specific to your project type. The reports, the one specific to your project type. The abstract, there's one abstract for all projects. It's there. These are links. Teachers, I'll probably send you the PDF of this while we're waiting for the recording. Now on the posters, there is a template, but you have to find it. So go to Get Involved Resources. You'll see they're all Get Involved Resources on the exposcience.co.za website. And then scroll down to the summary of the research project. That is a template that you're going to download, okay, and use. Okay, let's have a look at anything that's specific to Cape Town Expo. Please look for copies of documents also on the ctexpo.org.za website. We put a lot of updates on Facebook. We are putting more and more videos on our YouTube channel, and it's really important that you go and you listen to Roxy and Salusiwe and Chris and Adam and all these people who did projects in the past, because they are going to put things in that might help you with your interview. Teachers, obviously you can see it bright yellow. We're starting a new WhatsApp group only for the teachers of the 2025 Regional Science Fair schools. So Tanya will sort that out. By the end of the holidays, it'll be ready. And then we will only post on that group for the next of July, August. Teachers only, please email us if there's any questions that you can't answer yourself. So admin@ctexpo.org.za, put there, please, a regional project query. Okay. That's the subject line. Tanya will answer the email, and she will either answer the question or she'll forward it to somebody to help with the answers. We aim to reply within about 24 hours. Now, before we finish this afternoon, are there any questions that you want to put into the chat for Lyndon or Thomas or Undumiso to answer? Please put them now, because we are about to finish the presentation. I would like specifically to thank the people who kept their phones on silent. It was very good of you. I hope everybody learned an enormous amount this afternoon. And I hope that if you need to work in the holidays, if you're not going away, and then you've got a few weeks next term to get your project ready. So good luck, everybody, and goodbye. That means you can sign off now. Goodbye.